Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on my channel, and on today's video we are going to be talking about an ant species that I've been wanting to make a video on for a very long time. Or much rather a genus. This genus is known for stinging, it's known for growing decently fast, and it is known for harvesting some seeds sometimes. No, it is not Solenopsis, but rather it is the wonderful genus of Myrmica. Now, in Europe, these guys literally need zero introduction. You probably started out with this colony as being your first or second ant species. They are that common. However, in the United States, people seem to kind of brush over them, not really keeping them for a very long time or keeping them very large at all. I am also at fault of this. Although I am a very big fan of this genus, I've only ever kept like 2 or 3 larger colonies of them, and generally they were wild-caught colonies that didn't really do well in captivity because they were wild-caught. However, they are incredibly rewarding ants if you are able to keep them, and honestly, they are so much fun. Of course, when it comes to keeping them, one of the most important times is going to be the flights when you actually go out to catch them. Now, this genus as a whole has so many species in the United States, so they are known for flying anytime from early morning all the way to evening time, so you have a pretty wide range depending on the species that are in your area. Here in northern Wisconsin, they seem to mostly fly within the afternoon time and into the evening hours, as this flight that I am recording here happened at around about 5 p.m. This was actually the first time I've been able to record a flight or even see a flight of them in many years, so I was very happy when I was going out and I was able to capture this. The species that you have on the screen here right now is Myrmica incompleta. Now these guys are probably the closest to Myrmica rubra that we have within the United States, besides for maybe on the East Coast where Myrmica rubra is actually invasive. Their flights are pretty large, and their colonies are huge as well, becoming incredibly polygynous with at least 50 plus queens in each nest. However, that being said, the majority of Myrmica species are not really that polygynous. Most of them are probably monogynous. It is hard to say because IDing them is so hard. The only reason why I've been able to ID these ones is because Myrmica incompleta are one of the few that you are able to actually ID without needing a microscope. And even then, it can be a difficulty when it comes to IDing them. It just so happens that I've seen them so much that I'm pretty sure that this is the species. When it comes to looking for their flights, and as far as it goes with their conditions, you're going to be wanting to look for a few key factors, most of which are the same ones when it comes to Lasius. You're going to be looking for around about 70s to 80s when it comes to their temperatures when they want to fly, and you're also going to be looking for very low wind. Now, I've seen them fly all the way up to around about 8 miles per hour, but they really like it to be low wind, so 5 and under is going to be the most ideal. When it comes to the time of year, they generally try to target within late summer. Oftentimes this is when they have the most elates and is also, well, when they fly. However, there is in fact a species, and probably multiple, that fly throughout summer, primarily in June. You should also keep an eye out during the spring months when winter has just ended, because there are generally queens out foraging for food in order to feed their larvae, since the species is semi-claustral. So it is pretty easy to find queens that way. However, the best way is going to be, well, during their flights. These queens can sometimes be really hard to discern from their workers due to how small they are. The queens are generally about the size of the workers, if not just a teeny tiny bit larger. Of course, this makes it kind of difficult. However, if you have a large plane and you're kind of watching for them, it is pretty easy to spot them, especially with that large thorax that they use for their wings. That is a massive help, especially with the larger species of Myrmica like Myrmica incompleta and Myrmica punctiventris. There are also many cryptic species, so very small species that kind of just live in the leaf litter. So, you always have to just always be very vigilant, and whenever you see a Myrmica worker and you don't know if it's a worker or a queen, always check. As far as it goes with nesting behavior, this genus will nest in practically anything, and it always depends on the species, so make sure to watch out and check out what type of environment your species generally nest in. Around here, most of the species nest in incredibly moist soil, and also sometimes in sand, where it's generally more drier. It all depends on what that specific species wants. Again, there are so many different species with all sorts of different ways of living. It is very difficult to figure out exactly how they want to live sometimes. However, the general rule with Myrmica is that they will generally want to have a way more moist of a nest when it comes to, in captivity or even out in the wild. These ants die incredibly quickly without moisture, so it is very imperative that they have that moisture, otherwise you are probably going to end up with a dead colony. Also, when it comes to keeping the species, try and give them seeds, because some of them actually like to accept seeds. Now, whether they actually want to take the seeds themselves, or if they're going to be targeting the eliasome, is something that I'm not 100% sure about, but if you can, get a seed species with a large eliasome, and they will more than likely absolutely devour it. This genus generally has an incredibly good feeding response. As you can see, this wild Myrmica incompleta colony is just absolutely just devouring this large cricket that I ended up giving them. This large amount of activity really makes them quite a blast to keep because they're almost always going around and doing something. And especially during feeding time when they are stinging and, going all crazy for food, it is just a blast to watch them. Now, when it comes to founding a colony, this species is semi-claustral, so you will be needing to feed the queens over the time that they are founding. Now, some species will want to overwinter before they actually start founding, however, sometimes they will actually go throughout winter founding. That is a huge help when they do because it means that you don't have to deal with that at all. Being able to skip hibernation is by far one of the best parts about this genus because a lot of them will just straight up do that. It is not a 100% need of the genus, at least within the United States. We've been able to keep colonies healthy throughout the year. Many keepers have been able to without hibernating them at all, and they just grow year-round. So when it comes to founding them, you're going to be wanting to feed them weekly or bi-weekly. Generally, I try to target weekly so that they always have something to munch on during their founding process, and generally they will get around about 2 to 5 workers. So yeah, it is definitely important for you to feed them as they're doing their founding because they really cannot survive going long periods without eating like that of Lasius. Lasius can go literal months without eating at all, and they be completely fine. However, Myrmica are definitely different in the fact that they really need that food because they really do not have the fat that is built up on them to survive those really, really long times without any food. That being said, it means that you're able to pretty much have fun with the colony as they're in their founding stage with just a queen. Being able to feed just a queen, some people find it very annoying, but personally I find it kind of nice. There are a few other species like that, like Odontomachus, trapjaw ants, and I just kind of like the interaction with the queen as they're, doing their founding. Now, generally founding within the species is going to take around about a month to a month and a half of time. So basically what you'll be looking at is feeding them around about 6 times during their entire time founding, and then you're pretty much good. From there, you're going to have your workers, and the workers will take over the job of the queen when it comes to foraging and taking care of the brood and all that. But yeah, that's pretty much honestly all there is to Myrmica. Now I know that this one seems to be more like a care guide more than anything else, but I do feel like this is a species, especially in the US, that is very underrated when it comes to keeping them. And when it comes to observing them, they are also really awesome. When it comes to watching them end aphids and watching them just devour a bunch of stuff, some people kind of find them boring, but me personally, I've always enjoyed watching the species, and even the brief moments that I've kept them, it has always been a blast. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This took around about 14 months in the making because it took so long to get this footage and, everything else. I really wanted to get this out last year, but it just never happened. But yeah, anyways, like the video if you like it, dislike if you dislike, subscribe for new, check out all the links in the description, the Patreon, the Instagram, the Discord, all that fun stuff down there. Make sure to comment, give me engagement, that's always nice. I really like engagement. Like the video, that's more engagement. Dislike the video too. Whatever you want. Engagement is engagement. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later, and goodbye.